So first of all, thanks everyone for being here. This is a really good turnout. This is great to see in Vancouver. Those of you who are old like me, who may remember Ideas on Tap back in Yaletown, at Yaletown Brew Pub back in the day, this is very reminiscent of that. Very, very cool. So I've been around for about 20 years. Again, RewardStream is my current gig right now. As Penny mentioned, we are doing referral marketing. So we run refer-a-friend solutions for companies like TELUS and Sprint, very large telecom, e-commerce, financial institutions. But I've done a lot of startups, I've worked with a lot of companies, and when we talked about doing this, I thought, well, what would be very interesting maybe to distill down a series of lessons I've learned over the years and things that have caused my hair to fall out and all that good stuff. The first one is, if you haven't read the book, The Hard Thing About Hard Things, you should read it by Ben Horowitz. It's a fantastic book, and it really helps you kind of realize that all these overnight successes take 10 years and are very, very difficult. So I'll run through this pretty quick. Just as a side note, I may have to jet out pretty quick after, so email me if you want to meet up or chat, email me or hit me on Twitter, and I'll have this at the end as well. So lesson number one, none of us are special snowflakes, right? This is the challenge when you're an early stage startup company. Oftentimes you think, wow, I've got this great idea, I've got to be the first to execute, I can't tell people about it. That's not true, right? Ideas, market, and people, three of the big elements along execution to really drive your success. So if you think you're special and your idea is special, throw that out right now because it's not true. And if you are the only company doing the thing you're doing, then you're not in a big enough market, right? And that's going to be a challenge. Now that doesn't mean you shouldn't compete. It doesn't mean you shouldn't try. So what are some things you should try to do? Well, get up early. Quite frankly, this was one of the biggest game changers for me. I'm naturally an early person, but I get up well before 5 now, and I'm on the phone, I'm doing things, I'm taking time to meditate or relax or do whatever I need to do. Adding 2+ hours in the morning where other people aren't up, including my competitors, adds up to hundreds and hundreds of hours a year where other people you're competing with aren't doing things. And you can train yourself to do this. If you're not a morning person, you can train yourself to get up. And as you grow your business, if you start working with different time zones, unless you're working with Hawaii, if you're going the other direction, it's really important to be up early and be able to chat with people. Anyone see the movie Yes Man? So it's a bit older movie. If you've seen it, I don't recommend necessarily that you say yes to everything, but there was a really interesting message in this movie where Jim Carrey's character was kind of having a hard time getting through life, and he was forced to say yes to everything that someone asked him to do. Really the message was open yourself up to opportunity. I remember reading a book a number of years ago called The Luck Factor, and The Luck Factor really talked about the science behind luck, and the delineating factor between people that felt they were lucky and those that felt they were unlucky is that people that were lucky opened themselves to opportunities. They had conversations at the Starbucks, on the plane, wherever you happen to be, and those individual conversations often led them down a path that they never would have gone on before. So be open to opportunity, say yes to opportunity. This is a classic one. One of my earliest investors back a number of years, 12 years ago in one of our companies, really cautioned us as we were building the company to hire slowly, fire quickly. Now, hire slowly doesn't mean take 8 to 12 weeks to hire someone. It's really about fit, right? Your culture and your fit are so, so important. And if you've ever made the mistake of hiring the wrong person, you know it, and you should get rid of that person very quickly because it's best for you, your team, and that person. A wrong person on a small growing team can have a dramatic negative impact. And it's okay to let people go. People move on. You can hear about all the opportunities in the city. Don't feel bad about it because you will reap the rewards of letting a bad person go early, and they'll find something good. One of the most important characteristics we look for in team members is grit or resilience, right? The ability to get up after you've been knocked down time and time and time again. Starting a company can be very, very hard. You run into roadblocks and walls all the time. So your ability to get up one more time than the previous person, your competitor, can sometimes be that key to survival or growth that they're not going to have. And that's a huge, huge measure. If you're not, recruiting people based on core values, if your core values don't help you find the right people, that's something you should look into. I can chat with you about that, email me, you can talk about how to do that. But resilience and grit are some of the most important things in your startup team. So what is that? If everyone knows the story of Sisyphus, often a startup feels like you're rolling that rock up the hill and it's rolling back down on top of you and you feel like you want to give up quite often. Now, there's another great book called The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday, which talks about sort of modern stoicism, and this is, I always feel like a good representation of that. The other side of the obstacle is the biggest opportunity quite often. And again, trying and trying and trying again is often the way you get to success. And the people, again, going back to the previous slide, that are resilient and have grit will be the ones that succeed time and time again. This one, I heard on a podcast a couple weeks ago, and it was, I thought, a really great formula for actually driving what really works. Those of us running startups, there's a ton of stress when you run a startup, right? Tons and tons of it. But if you're not stressed, think of it like a muscle. If you're not stressing your muscle and then giving it a chance to recover, it doesn't grow. So stress plus rest equals growth. So make sure you have time to rest. I have personally burned myself out on more than one occasion. I don't recommend it. Adrenal failure is not a fun thing. So make sure you rest and make sure you take the time to actually reflect, because often your best ideas come after a period of stress where you can sit back and reflect on what's happened. This one is a really interesting one. Sometimes it takes a bit of time to get there, but if you can adopt a model of thinking where you really understand there's really only you in this world. There's no one else. There isn't someone victimizing you or punishing you. The universe isn't punishing you. Someone's not making bad things happen to your startup, right? Things don't happen to you, they happen for you. So finding your way to look in the mirror when you feel like bad things are happening and finding the nugget of what's actually valuable there to drive past it is hugely important. So if you're feeling challenged or overwhelmed, look in the mirror and find a place where you can actually see, well, where's the opportunity in this? Get a coach. This is one thing I wish I had done a lot earlier in my career. Everyone recommends getting a mentor, and that's very, very valuable to have many mentors. But getting a coach was a huge game changer for me. I happened upon it when I joined RewardStream a couple years ago. They'd had a coaching contract with someone that didn't get fulfilled, so I kind of inherited it and got more benefit out of it than I ever thought possible. This person didn't have a background in technology or in marketing or the things I had interest in, but they had a background in coaching. And very quickly driving me forward was huge. I now have a full-time coach who, again, happens to be someone I've known for 25 years, but his ability to focus me on my goals and the things I want to do, even the last 2 or 3 quarters, have caused 100x growth in some areas, 10x in others. So I recommend it if you can afford it, do some kind of a exchange of value somehow, but getting someone to help you focus is very, very helpful and keep you accountable. And then finally, this one is a core value element that we've carried from company to company to company over the years, and it has served me very, very well. And when I reflect on it, if you're ever in a stressful situation, do the right thing, right? Have your team do the right thing. And that right thing is for all your stakeholders, yourself, your team, your customers. But not doing the right thing can come back and bite you in the butt more often than not. So this one is one that when I advise other startups, build fundamentally in the fabric of your team, because doing the right thing will pay off in spades. So again, a couple quick things. Thanks for your time. Again, here for questions. Email me, tweet me. I'll answer eventually. Whoop.
Thank you so much, Rob. Any questions? Wow, this cool. Okay, yes, our photographer. I love it.
Hi, I just wanted to ask you about the coach part. I'm wondering, how did you choose your coach? Like, what were the things you looked for?
So the things I looked for were alignment with the goals and interests I had. And so when I talked to a number of coaches, some of them have very similar approaches and some are quite different. So I asked, what are some of the materials you do? What does your process look like? How often do you want to meet? How do you meet? Because whether I'm traveling or in or out, that's a huge element. Some coaches only do phone, some only do in person. Some use particular methodology, so I wanted to see the methodology to see if it would align with me, and it worked out very, very well. So, interview your coach and make sure there's a good fit, and the personality matters too, because if you work with a coach that clashes with your personality, it'll make you resistant to implementing the things they're suggesting, so you have to be willing to kind of go with it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Good question.
There was another question out there. Oh, perfect. Thank you.
I saw the routine. It's about the coach thing again. I was just wondering what an average session with your coach would look like.
So typically we time box to either 60 or 90 minutes. We've gone through sort of a methodology of a series of things. My particular coach uses this format called the Wheel of Life, which has sort of, I think, 7 or 8 vectors on it, and you kind of figure out where you're at in each of them. And what we do is often he asks me, well, what do I want to cover? So I have to come prepared. At the end of every session, I have a series of things I have to do, and I'm accountable to complete. And then in between the times where we talk or meet, we'll use text and update, and he'll say, okay, you need to do this. It's up to you to do it, and when you've done it, text me and let me know. And so it's always in the back of my mind. I got to get this done. And it's been really helpful to kind of focus me on 2 or 3 things over the course of 1 or 2 or 3 weeks to get done. Cool.
And how did you, I know you said you kind of came across him, but you kind of talk like there's coaches out there.
Well, so out of interest, actually, this is not a plug, just came to me as you said that. So we actually sublease some of our space out to a company called Numi here in Vancouver, and they're a coach exchange, actually. I didn't meet mine through that. I happen to know him, but I think it's Noomi. You can, Numi. Or email me and I'll send it to you, because they're a great group, but they've got an online sort of coach, find a coach platform.
Thank you.
Cool, thanks.
There's Rob's email address in case you didn't get it. Any other questions? I actually have one. You recommended a bunch of books. What are you reading right now?
Ooh,
Or are you
that is a
reading?
good question. No, I'm trying to. I've been podcasting lately.
What are you
'cause
listening
I've been
to?
traveling. I've got a whole. I will send it out if you want to see it.
Yeah, I would
I've got
love-
a huge list.
okay.
Now that I live out in the suburbs, I'm in the car a lot and I'm traveling a lot. So it was interesting. When I used to live downtown, I used to walk to work, like 10 seconds to work. And then I moved and I was driving and I started listening to music again. And because I'm like, oh, music. And then I'm like, why am I listening to music? Because I'm in the car for an hour and a half a day. So I've plowed through hundreds of hours. So Jason Calcanis, Tim Ferriss.
Are you listening to Gary Vee?
So I've met Gary Vee a couple times. So
Yeah.
I like Gary Vee, but he kind
But
of.
it's like limited.
Yeah, it's limited. Little
Limited.
bits, yeah.
It's too much.
Yeah, I like the long form stuff a bit. A lot of Audible books, tons of Audible books.
You know what
also
I'm
the list.
what I'm really into, and this is me being super geeky, Revolutions.
Awesome.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh my God, what
Yeah.
a podcast. It's about like each country's revolution.
Yeah.
And it's super nerdy, but it's so good.
Yeah, Kevin Rose has a whole bunch of really good ones.
Yeah.
I'll send you a
Okay,
list.
yeah. We'll share that with the team or
Cool.
the community.
Cool.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you, Rob. A round of applause.